Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. This is Danelle here at Networkchain. Let's talk about the breakdown. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at around $94,000. It's down over 9% over the last 7 days. We have Ethereum down over 13% over the last 7 days, nearly on the edge of that $3,000 level. We'll see if it can hold up above 3,000 this week. We have XRP down 6.6%. Solana is down over 16%, currently at around $135. We have Dogecoin, the largest meme coin of them all, down over 12%, trading at about 15 to 16 cents. Then we have Cardano rounding out the top 10, currently trading just under 17% over the past week at 47 cents. So if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart, and we've talked about the range that Bitcoin had been trading in for several months now, basically between 100 and the all-time high at around $125,000. But now we're seeing that it's broken below that $100,000 level and has now stayed below that $100,000 level in the weekly chart. So we're seeing that basically over the last month and a half or so, Bitcoin has had several $10,000 plus downside candles, and so that's not looking good for the trajectory of Bitcoin. Now obviously anything can happen, lots going on obviously in the macroeconomic environment. We just in the United States had the longest government shutdown ever finally has been ended. So a lot of the economy hopefully will be able to get back to work when it comes from the federal government standpoint. And then also we're going to see what happens in December with regards to the Federal Reserve and whether or not they're going to have another interest rate cut. That could also be another stimulus to bring in more funds into risk on assets like Bitcoin. But we have been hearing some information coming from chairman or I should say presidents that are part of the Federal Reserve, basically intimating that there's a possibility that we may not have another rate cut going into the end of the year. So obviously a lot of people are waiting to see what's happening from the macro standpoint. But if we go back here and look at the chart, we see that Bitcoin is currently trading under $95,000. We'll see what happens over the next several days if we can get a bump up in price. But we are seeing that it did break down below this mark here at around that $100,000 level, which obviously is a psychological number. But also when you look at the technicals, it's breaking down below what used to be resistance and generally would become support. Is that what we're looking at? But now we're seeing that since it's broke down past this point, we're looking to see where the next point of support could be, and that is around that $77,000 range. So that is a possibility that Bitcoin could potentially come back down to these levels. So definitely something to watch out for, and obviously we'll keep you posted as we move along with our weekly YouTube videos, so make sure to stay tuned. But this definitely is a potential trajectory when we look at just the basic technical charting, and a lot of traders tend to base their trades off of these technical indicators. So it's definitely a possibility that we could see Bitcoin come down, especially if we see another week or so below this $100,000 level. It's definitely possible that it could get back down to this $75,000 level. And we last saw this around that April timeframe when we were going through Liberation Day and the tariff scares, and when a lot of the stock market as well as crypto market took major dips during that time frame. So definitely don't be surprised if that happens. Obviously we'll keep you posted, but it's definitely a possibility as we're seeing this breakdown currently in Bitcoin. We have a look at the Bitcoin ETFs and why many people think that this time is potentially different when it comes to the Bitcoin cycle. We're seeing that usually the year after the halving, which was last year when the mining rewards for Bitcoin is cut in half. So last year it was around April of 2024 when we had the Bitcoin halving, and January 2024 is when the spot Bitcoin ETFs first came onto the market. We're seeing that Bitcoin is steadily moving up, and we're not seeing that so-called blow off top where we have just a major run up, and we're kind of been doing more of a stair step, more of a steady run up as opposed to just a massive crazy run. We really saw the last crazy run last year uh, around the U.S. presidential election in November of 2024, going into the beginning of 2025. But basically, since beginning of 2025, if you put in Bitcoin, it put in money in Bitcoin in January of 2025, you're basically about even. So if we look at the performance of Bitcoin in 2025 compared to gold and some of the other major asset classes here, you see that gold actually has been the top performer in 2025 with over 55% return since the beginning of the year. And we have Bitcoin down at the bottom with just over 1%. Now, obviously, we still have about 5-6 weeks left in 2025, so this could change a little bit, but it is the worst performer in a post-halving year, which is an anomaly. So we are seeing that the trend is potentially changing. And now that we're having more flows, institutional flows coming into Bitcoin, particularly through the Bitcoin ETFs, that we may have more of a steady climb up, as opposed to with some volatility still definitely mixed in, but we may not have these major run-ups where you're seeing 2-3x's, in a matter of several months that we used to have in Bitcoin in prior years. But if you look at Bitcoin, it still outperforms everyone over the last 15 years. And if you look over the last 14 years, Bitcoin was the top performer, basically 11 of the last 14 years. So, this could just be an outlier year, potentially. Obviously, time will tell. And as you can see, at least right now, 100% of these major asset classes, as you can take a look here, when we look at gold, we look at the NASDAQ, we look at large U.S. large caps, we even look at high yield bonds, everything is in the positive in 2025. So we're seeing that basically over the last 3 years, most of the asset classes have been in the positive. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, because we at some point will have negative returns. Because it's not just up only forever and ever. Obviously, we're going to have ups and downs, and that's just the nature of investing and the nature of markets. And Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are no exception. So if we go back here to the Bitcoin spot ETFs, you can see that there still is a total net inflow of Bitcoin and money flowing into the Bitcoin ETFs, the spot ETFs. We can see here, just looking from the daily inflow and outflows, basically, obviously, over the last several days, we had a outflow. Then we see a positive inflow one day last week. So we're obviously going to continue to see some positive and negative days, but overall, obviously, we're seeing that institutions and other investors who have an interest in Bitcoin are still continuing to pile in. So if you look here at the chart of basically the Bitcoin price compared to the inflows and outflows going into the Bitcoin ETFs, we're still seeing that basically you're mostly seeing green candles representing the inflows that are coming in to Bitcoin. So obviously, over the last couple of months, with Bitcoin price dropping, you're seeing the outflow coming into the ETFs. But as we see, and if we see another spike up in Bitcoin, we'll obviously likely see more inflow and more capital coming into the Bitcoin ETFs. So as we can see here, IBIT, which is BlackRock's offering. BlackRock is the largest asset manager in the world, managing I believe over 12 to 13 trillion dollars in assets. They currently hold about almost 800,000 Bitcoin. Many people believe at some point in time they will eventually get to holding 1 million Bitcoin on behalf of its investors. So we're still seeing that there's still surge coming into Bitcoin. So we're not necessarily worried about Bitcoin over the longer term, because we're definitely seeing that the demand is still coming into the crypto asset. Also, we're seeing Harvard, which is the largest endowment, academic endowment, has reportedly a lot of the what they call 13 Fs, which many major hedge funds and institutions and companies who are trading in and out of various assets every quarter have to report their holding and their trading activity. And these 13 Fs show what they're getting in and out of every quarter. So the third quarter results are now coming out. These 13 Fs are coming out. And we know that Harvard has increased their share count of the BlackRock IBIT Bitcoin ETF. They have a 257% increase over its last reported holdings. So they are now holding over $400 million of that Bitcoin ETF to date. We are seeing that other universities like Emory University, as well as the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund also added to their spot ETF holdings. So we're still seeing that institutions and banks are offering crypto trading. SoFi, which is an up-and-coming financial institution, announced that they will be offering crypto trading. We see the Fidelities, the Schwabs, and some of the other major brokerages are also offering crypto trading or plan on having crypto trading into 2026. So there's still demand that's obviously coming into Bitcoin, but we definitely see obviously some volatility when it comes to the Bitcoin price right now. But that's just the nature of Bitcoin. We've seen it time and time again, even just over the last year and a half or so. Bitcoin will go up to a certain degree and then it'll come right on back down, but eventually it'll come and have a nice little blast back up. And so we've seen this pattern several times over the last couple of years, and obviously since Bitcoin's existence. So definitely make sure to keep posted with us here at Networkchain, as well as all the other amazing resources out there as you continue to do your due diligence. Thank you so much for watching us here at Networkchain. We'll continue to keep you posted as we do these weekly YouTube videos. Make sure to check us out on X as well as IG. And thank you so much for watching. We look forward to linking up with you soon on the Networkchain. Take care. Bye-bye.